Alright guys, so we're filling back up. We just got to the point where the water is going through the overflow box, down the back of the tank, and here into the sump. So I will get to roughly that maximum height line. Actually, I'm going to go all the way up to that top line probably. I'm sorry, the bottom of the two lines there, before I actually hit the switch and turn on the pump. Can you see that, the masonite that I put down there? Where'd the water level go? Alright, so right about now that biomedia is getting submerged. I don't want to run with it submerged. So you can see here while I was doing my maintenance, the red light kicked on because either a low or a high level hit, and now I'm going to hit the button. And we got water coming in, along with all that gunk. Oh crap, I forgot how much gunk builds up on the lines in this system. So now the level is going down there, and I was so busy filming I almost forgot to go run into the bathroom and turn off the water. So I'm a little bit higher than I like to be. Tiniest bit. If the tank were to turn off right now, it wouldn't overflow, but it would come probably the closest it ever has to overflowing the sump. But I think we'll be okay. You can see all that gunk that got kicked up from the filter lines. Damn, I'm pissed I forgot. Usually I'll set up the siphon right in front of the output just to prevent that from happening, but it's all right. Most of it's actually already getting kicked up into the overflow. You can see some of those chunky bits getting sucked right through the teeth, and they're gonna go down and get filtered out in the sump. Where right now, I got a couple of fish chilling. There's that Demasoni. He's been kicking everybody's butt, and that OB is down there too. I hope they'll be okay down there at least for a little while. I'm gonna rehome these guys. I don't know exactly how. I don't keep any other African cichlids at my house, and they're probably just too big to go with the fish that I just bought. But I'm going to grab those fish that I just bought and start floating them so they can get acclimated temperature-wise. Alright guys, so here's everything I just bought at the store. We got 15 fish. I'm going to go ahead and float them. Just like that for the time being. I'm going to disappear for a little while. I'll give them 20 minutes or so to reach roughly the same temperature of the tank currently, and then I'll let everybody go. Alright guys, so these fish have been acclimating long enough. I'm going to go ahead and introduce them into the tank. Take a quick look at what we got here. Let me see if I can't remember what the heck we got. Let me try and check the list. We've got a single Trewavase, that I remember, or Trewas, I'm not even sure how you say it. The kid at the store said it differently than I recall ever saying it. There's 2 yellow labs, 2 red zebras, 2 Msobos, 2 Kenyai, 2 snow white Scolify. Was that it? I forget how many I said. That's roughly it. I'll double check that later and figure out what else it is. But it looks like these fish are heading to the surface and gasping for air, so I better hurry this up. Alright, so my process for getting fish into a tank, especially fish that come from the local fish store, is I like to take a net and kind of sit it over the top of a bucket like this, and then pour the fish. I'm going to use a bigger bucket, I think. Did I bring all my buckets outside already? I did, didn't I? Well, this will work. So I'm going to use a large bucket. I have a larger bucket. Not so large fish and a not so large bag. Smart. Let's think. So I take these guys like this. And get them into the net like that. And then I gotta move my camera a little bit, don't I? And then I can take them and get them right into the tank. Oh, I wanted to try to catch some of the poop that was in the bag that just went in with them, but it's okay. Now we're gonna do the same. With the next guys, gals, whatever they might be, whatever they might end up being. Saved a little more of the poop that time. And now if we're lucky, I got 15 fish in the tank. Far so good. I think the tank looks pretty good. Fish all look like they're doing perfectly fine so far. Their colors look good, so they can't be freaking out too bad from the change. I'm loving the activity. I'm loving having something going on in this tank again. I was so worried about getting new fish because of the old fish that I had in this tank. It's not that I had grown attached to them in any kind of romantic way or anything, but I just had them for such a long time. I forgot how small they were when they started out. I got all those fish maybe a little bit bigger than what I just put in the tank right now. The fish I had in here previously. I've had those for maybe 2 years or so, maybe a bit longer. I don't remember exactly. But I just had them for so long, the thought hadn't crossed my mind of perhaps getting rid of them. And that's the decision I finally came to that really allowed me to go get a bunch more fish. The whole point of me rescaping the tank, ideally in my head I was going to do that to hopefully disturb any boundaries that the fish that were left in here had, and then I could introduce new fish safely and everybody will sort of create new boundaries and new areas that they want to stake claim to, so to say. And it's still a good idea that I did that, because that allowed me to get in here and clean up this tank, and I like this scape much better than what I had in there previously. I'm sure someone can do a better job than I did right here, but I like it a lot. African cichlids come from very, very rocky waters. I'm still not 100% sure if the three main lakes where these guys would be found in nature actually contain any vegetation or not. Typically, many people don't keep plants in an African cichlid tank because they're known to eat many of the plants, uproot them, disturb them. African cichlids, besides being aggressive, they can be diggers. They'll probably dig around a bit in this sand substrate and create some tunnels here and there. Hopefully they won't undermine any of my rock work. All the rocks are just, laying upon one another. They're not glued in place or secured in any particular way. All those little pieces of Texas holy rock up top are probably destined to get bounced around and fall off eventually. But that's okay. So because of the fact that African cichlids are known to eat vegetation and uproot things, I don't bother trying to keep any plants in this tank. I also don't want to keep any plants in this tank because I'm afraid a piece of plant, a leaf or something, might block up the overflow and could potentially cause some issues. When I designed this tank, I was thinking of something different. I was thinking of doing a planted tank. I was thinking of doing a discus tank, and in the end I decided not to because it would be too difficult for me to provide proper care for a discus tank at the office here where I'm not physically present all the time. And that turned out to be a very wise choice, especially because of that issue I was talking about with my water heater before, where I just don't have that much hot water available to do water changes. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that a planted tank would be a dangerous proposition here. I can deal with a leak at my house. That's my problem, that's my responsibility, that's my domain, and I won't be affecting anyone else other than my family. If I were to potentially have a failure here with a leak, it'd be a much different situation. And I don't want something stupid like a piece of plant clogging up the filter for me and not allowing the water to escape this tank, and the pump would continue pumping. And that's also why I put in all those fail-safes. I talked about my fail-safes before, and in theory that would prevent the disaster from happening, but still there's no point in tempting fate. So I keep an African cichlid tank here at the office, and I keep my planted tanks at home. But that's why I chose a rock-only scape, because these fish come from rocky waters. The word mbuna, I believe, literally translates to rock dweller. That was something else the local fish store had in the African cichlid department, we'll say. They had a listed as a rock crebensis, just a regular crebensis, which is not necessarily an African cichlid. So we'll see how these guys fare. It just dawned on me that I forgot to bring any medication with me here. I should give everybody a big dose of a couple of different meds, just in case there's anything going on. The guy at the local fish store told me they were expecting a new delivery this coming week on Thursday, and I spoke to him a little more after that to try to figure out how long he's had these fish in stock. He claims he's had them all over a month. I'm not sure if he's just telling me what he thinks I want to hear. I'd much rather hear that a store has had fish for, at least a couple of weeks, a month or more is great. I'm always reluctant to pick up fish recently delivered to the store. Sometimes I might be happy if I see them unpacking, and if I'm able to get the fish before they even unpack it, maybe I'll consider it. But the longer the fish has survived in a local fish store, the better sign it is. They're going to have some die-off no matter what. A local fish store, any store, who's dealing with tons and tons and tons of inventory, they're getting deliveries of, say, 1 million fish. 5% of them might be dead. That's just to be expected. Another 5% might die in the next 24, 48 hours after from the stress of the move and everything. So if the fish has been in the store for a long time, it's got a better likelihood of surviving in your hands as well. These guys are pacing up and down the glass. I guess they're just establishing their boundaries, and not establishing their boundaries, but figuring out their boundaries within this tank here. It's one of those snow white Secolophies. They're not technically an albino, they're just snow white. All right, I am going to get on out of here. It is late. Hello? Why can't you zoom out? It is late on a Sunday night. I still haven't eaten dinner. It's probably 10 o'clock-ish, if not a little bit later. I gotta get going, so I will see you guys later. I will see the fish tomorrow morning on Monday, bright and early at work. And I'll see you guys in the next video.